Wendell, you are the chair of the Africa Private Sector Summit. We're here at this conference talking about the real importance of private-public partnerships. Tell me more about the work that you do and why it's so important in this context.
The work we focus on is trying to look at creating an enabling business environment, simply stated, a conducive investment climate in Africa. We want to change this narrative that Africa is a bad place to work. So we think that we can bring the private sector together and promote the AFTA agenda, the protocols that were signed by the heads of states. We think this will make a difference. This will change the narrative. This will change the dynamics in terms of investment across the continent.
And so tell me, what are some of the biggest obstacles you hear from the private sector about doing business in Africa, and how can we change that?
The challenges are many. Access to finance, civil unrest, policies that are not conducive in the countries across the continent, infrastructure. All of these are, in a nutshell, the basic problems across the continent. So we want to focus on galvanizing the private sector to appreciate the AFTA. AFTA protocols are embedded with key elements signed by the heads of states. Free movement of people, a currency that is exchangeable across the continent, common passport, infrastructure issues, health issues. If we can come together and appreciate what I consider a gift, the AFTA as a gift to the private sector, then we'll make a difference.
Absolutely, because I mean, this promise of the free trade agreement, everything you said, you know, the currency, the passport, Africa would really, like its power would just explode. So how can we make that promise a reality? What kind of actual concrete action do we need to see between now and this time next year when we're here again?
You know, this conference, the speakers at this conference have articulated these issues, all right? And most of the people, the presidents, the banks at the Senate, the president of Kenya, and a number of others have articulated these issues. What we need to do now is the private sector, come together and get our leaders to sign up on an Africa Private Sector Bill of Rights for an enabling business environment. That would, this time next year, we should have a document that is ready to go to the heads of states for them to adopt. This is the simplest, easiest, fastest way under which we can have AFTA implemented, the REX protocols implemented, is the private sector must come together, unite, and ensure that these things are done. That will be the success story of this conference, UN Compact. That will be the success story. If these various elements will come together, support to unify, rather support this kind of agenda for what we refer to righting the wrongs of doing business in Africa, then I think we will be making some key headways in terms of Africa's development and transformation.
And so that's exactly what you are doing, is bringing these people together so that you can take it, right, to these heads of state.
That is correct.
And so this time next year, we're going to be having a conversation about how you've done that.
Well, we're kind of a little late. We think by 2025, after 2025 there, because the AU heads of states meet annually in February. And so we're hoping that by 2024, that will be a discussion, and by 2025, we would have had a document in the hands of the heads of states for the adoption.
So my last question to you, obviously you've spoken about like a lot of potential, a lot of ambition of things that could be great, but right now, what is it that you see as the biggest promise, the biggest potential in Africa?
The biggest promise, the biggest potential in Africa lies in, one, revamping the education system to produce the skill sets to transform your natural resources, your agriculture sector, your resources, oil in the waterways, the ocean and waterways. So you have, normally refer to it as the company of the ocean and waterways, where you have natural resources. You have your soil, the ground, you can reap from it your natural resources as well as agriculture. And from the skies you have what? You have solar, all right? You have water.
It's renewable energy.
Yeah, so we have all of these things that are favorable for the continent. We just need to produce the skill sets. And this is why we have another component of what we do called the Africa Education Trust Fund. That body is focused on transforming the continent educational system to deliver the skill set so that businesses, whether it is your basic service industry, whether it's in the industrial sector, whether it's even government, public service sector, would have the skill sets to be able to meet the demands of both public and private sectors.
Fantastic. So you've got the skill set that's going on in one area, you're trying to get the private sector to get together in the other, and when these two come together, then Africa is really going to be a powerhouse.
The breadbasket for the world.
For the world.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. A pleasure.
Thank you, too.